All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another live group coaching call within the Mindful Journey. I am going to be out of the way today. Fortunately, we're so lucky to have Dr. April Konvalinka with us this afternoon or morning, wherever it is that you may be tuning in from. April has developed has always had a deep passion, at least from the time that I've known her, of wanting to serve others. And we're so fortunate to have her guide us through a coaching call today. Feel free, as always, to put any questions you have in the chat function, but I'm going to get out of the way and turn this over to April. And April, again, thank you so much for being here, and looking forward to what it is that you've got in store for us today as we try to elevate our well-being.
Thank you so much, Adam. And Rusty, thanks for joining us. Others that are joining us as well. I'm so grateful to be with you today and to share my insight on how to elevate your well-being. We have approximately about 25 minutes together, so I'm excited for this journey. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to acknowledge you first for your willingness to be here and also for your courage to elevate your own well-being. We are bio-individuals, which what that means is that what works for one person may not work for another person. And so the answers to your health and well-being are within you. We just have to figure out how to get that out of you. And so my plan is today is to help you make a transformation in your own well-being. And so let's get started. If I can get my screen to advance. Give me a minute. Here we go. So the intention for today is to inspire your health and wellness, or your health awareness in the areas of sleep, meditation, and movement, so that you can elevate your own well-being and happiness. So why these three areas? What I have found over the years that if you make small shifts to these three areas in your life, that it will significantly make a difference in your health and well-being and your happiness. And so that's what we're going to focus on today. Today's format will include engagement, self-discovery from you, and a brief content delivery from me. So throughout the presentation, I will ask you to respond to a few questions using the platform Mentimeter. And in just a few moments, I'll show you how to use that platform. Those responses will be anonymous. And so feel free to answer those as freely as you'd like. If you choose to participate, that's great. If not, that's fine as well. But through that participation, we will learn about commonalities and differences as we go throughout the presentation. If you have any questions along the way, I encourage you to post a question in the Q&A, and we'll try to get to those questions by the end of the session. And if at any point in time, if something I share with you resonates with you, feel free to use the reaction emojis in the presentation. So I would like to begin with an exercise that creates a space for you to kind of clear your mind, free the worries from your day. And so what's important in this exercise is for you to have a piece of paper or some sort of device where you can actually write these things down. And so if you can grab that really quick, we're going to go ahead and get started. So what I would like for you to do is to take 30 seconds to write down 5 things that are heavy on your mind at this present time. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds to do that. Okay, so now what I would like for you to do is to take this list of things that are stressing you today or the things that you have on your to-do list, push those aside because we're going to come back to those in just a moment. Then we're going to go into a breathing technique that I like to share with my clients, and it's called the 478 diaphragmatic breathing technique. And what you do with this breathing technique is that you will inhale through your nose for 4 seconds or a count of 4. You will hold your breath for 7, and then you will exhale for 8. So we're going to try that right now. So if you'll do it with me, you're going to inhale for 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then exhale for 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I want you to continue doing that. So inhale for 4, hold it for 7, and exhale for 8. While you're doing that, you're going to notice that your belly will expand when you do the inhale in. And then when you exhale, it will reduce, it will deflate like a balloon when you exhale out, because you're breathing, you're pushing all of the air out. So we're going to do that for 3 breaths. And then I'll give you another activity to do while we're breathing. So what I would like to encourage you to do is to close your eyes if you feel comfortable, and to inhale for the 4, hold it, and exhale for 8. Again. And exhale for 8. One more time. Hold it. Exhale for 8. Okay, on the last 2 breaths, I want you to think about your list. Keep breathing. I want you to think about your list. On your exhale, I want you to breathe out all of those stressors that you wrote down on your piece of paper. So inhale, hold, exhale for 8. Blow out all the stress of the day, all the stress on that list. One more time. Hold. And exhale for 8. Blow it all out. If this breathing technique is new for you, it's a great way to wake up. So when you wake up, you can do a couple of breaths just to kind of get your body in a relaxation mode. It's a great way to start your day. If you're in a high stress situation, if you feel like you need to breathe, this type of breathing technique will help you in those stressful situations. Or if you're driving down the road and there's heavy traffic and you just can't handle the stress anymore of the traffic, take a couple of breaths, 2 to 3 breaths. Or if your kids are driving you nuts, that's also a good opportunity to use this breathing technique as well. And so continue to use that throughout our time together. And when we go into the meditation discussion, we'll do that a little bit more. So I want you to hold on to the joy that you feel, the goodness that you feel right now, the positive energy that you feel right now as we go throughout this session. So what I would like to do now is to test out Mentimeter. And so if you look at the top of the screen, there's a link to Mentimeter. If you will follow that link and then put in the code at the top. And then I'd like for you to answer the question. Share what is new and good today. And so once you respond, we should have a little bubble that pops up on the screen. I'm hoping that you're able to use that. If not, you may want to put a note in the chat. Good, life is good, and your presentation is great. Thank you so much. So it is working. So yay, we've made it through our test slide on Mentimeter. So we're going to go ahead and progress forward. Okay, so now we're going to talk about sleep. So how many hours, and as we're going through this session, be sure you have that another piece of paper where you can take notes and do your reflection. And so I'd like for you to reflect on the amount of sleep that you received last night. How many hours of sleep did you sleep? Was it a full 8 hours? Was it 7 hours? Was it 5 hours? So I'd like for you to jot that down. And we've all known for a really long time that sleep is really important. And so what I'd like for you to do is to, on the next slide, share with us how many hours of sleep you got last night. 6, awesome. 6 hours is good, that's good. Hopefully that was 6 hours consistent sleep. I know some people will say they got 7 hours. I got 7 hours of sleep last night, but for me personally, I had interrupted sleep. What we'd like to get is at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep as adults, 7 to 9 hours of sleep of interrupted sleep. And most of us do not have that. And so I'd like to go over a few ways for you to achieve those results. And so if you look at this slide, it talks about the benefits of quality sleep. And so again, we all know the benefits. This just serves as a reminder why it's important for us to get sleep and the beneficial factors. And for me personally, I know that I do not feel well if I don't get enough sleep, and it does affect your immune system. And so for me, I try to get in 7 hours of sleep. Would I'd like to get in 8 hours of sleep? That would be great. But for me, my body needs 7 hours. So if you've experienced any of these factors on the screen of how not getting enough sleep affects you, these are things for you to consider as you are experiencing or exploring your sleep cycle. So if you'd like to get more sleep, to achieve restful sleep, you may want to do like a sleep study. And so that's not something that you have to go to a physician to do, although you can do that. There's plenty of sleep apps available to you at our fingertips that you can use to actually monitor your sleep cycle to see if you are actually sleeping the full 7 hours or full 9 hours, however many hours of sleep. But it also will allow you to see if it's continuous sleep. So for those of us who are only getting 5 hours of sleep, 4 hours of sleep, there may be certain things that we want to put in place, look at our life cycle, our lifestyle to determine if we need to do certain things, alter our bed schedule, sleep schedule at night to achieve the sleep that we'd like to achieve. And so if it's 8 hours, if that's your goal, then you may want to reduce water intake or any type of beverage intake before you go to bed. If you're wanting to, again, achieve that 8 hours of sleep, you may want to try journaling before you go to bed. For me, I will wake up in the middle of the night and my mind is always on go. And so I will typically keep a journal by my bed so I can write things down that are on my mind so I can go back to sleep. Sometimes I try to do that before I go to bed so I can sleep through the night. So I've got another question for you. Do you desire to get more sleep? Yes, no, maybe, you're satisfied. Yes, awesome. Well, guess what? I've got some ideas for you. But before we get into that, what interrupts your sleep? Pain. Okay. Yeah, I can see how that could definitely interrupt your sleep. Your phone, electronics, those darn blue lights keep us up at night. Okay. So this is where we're going to go into some self-reflection. And whenever you see this screen, this lovely screen, this is where we're going to pause and I'm going to encourage you to reflect upon the question that's on the screen. And so take a few moments to answer these questions and then we'll come back together. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to answer those questions, or about a minute to answer that question, and then we're going to move on to the next slide. And here's another question. Okay, so if you are looking for additional tips on how to prepare for a good night's sleep, these items on the screen are just nuggets of information that you can utilize. You can even try tonight if you'd like. And so for me, I think my favorite is to keep a journal by the bed, which I've shared that with you. Some of the other things to keep in mind is when you eat, when you're having a meal. A lot of research shows now that if you are consuming a large meal before you go to bed, your digestive system and your liver are working overtime to digest that food. And sometimes that will keep you up at night, whether you realize that or not. And so eating a light meal with a buffer of 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed is preferred. Sometimes we like to snack when we go to before we go to bed. And so you can crowd out, meaning you can eliminate the snacking at night by doing a little yoga or journaling or reading or connecting with a loved one before you go to bed. I think for all of us, we do sometimes get busy brain, and I do appreciate the individual that put the phone, because the blue lights on our phone really stimulate our brain cells, stimulate our mind. And so if you can try to refrain from looking at your phone or anything with a blue light 30 minutes to an hour before you go to bed, it puts your body at more of a calmer state and should encourage your body to be more relaxed as you sleep. For those who are experiencing pain while you sleep, I would definitely encourage you to consult with your physician on ways that you can work through that. There's different, whether it's your medical physician or other healers like a chiropractor or an acupuncturist may be able to assist you with that. All right, so we're going to talk about meditation. And so this may be a new concept for a lot of people. And so what I wanted to share with meditation, it's more about calming the mind, helping you to relieve stress, to improve your mental clarity and your mental energy. And so I have found meditation over the past 6 months to be very, very extremely helpful to me in my day-to-day living. And I find myself to be a little happier and a little more joyful because I'm able to commit time to and it's just like 5 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes, to just starting my day with a little meditation. It inspires me for the day, and I'm able to set an intention for the day. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that. So here are some meditation benefits. So if you are interested in meditating, there are many ways to meditate, as I shared earlier, and we'll get into a little bit of that in a moment. But here are some ways that meditation can benefit you from health and well-being perspective. So it definitely, for me, it has helped with my cognition and also helped to relieve stress and anxiety. And quite honestly, it's also helped with productivity and focus, because in my meditation, I try to set intentions, and those intentions kind of help guide my day. So my question for you is meditation a practice that you would be interested in experiencing if you're not doing so already? Yes, awesome. Perfect. All right. So what I'd like to share with you is the ways that you can start meditation. Like, as I shared earlier, it does not have to be complicated. It does not have to be formal. This could be something that you do the moment that you wake up. I mentioned earlier about the diaphragmatic breathing. And so when you wake up, you can take a couple of deep breaths. And then if you wanted to, turn over and grab your phone, download a great meditation app. There are so many meditation apps available to you. And I use one that actually is customizable to the way that I'm feeling that day. And I put in some information, and then it will give me a catalog of guided meditations. I really like the guided meditations. I also enjoy sitting in silence and allowing my mind just to kind of wander, but I do pair that with journaling. And so another way to meditate is to sit in silence. I love to sit outside, listen to the birds, and I'll just do that for a couple of minutes just to kind of see what's going on in my mind. And then I'll take my journal and write everything down, just kind of do a brain dump. in my journal to release everything that I'm thinking about. And then I'll go through another meditation, a quiet moment, just to see what questions I have that are coming up for me. This process actually allows you to get to your conscious level, to your conscious self. And so if you're looking to answer deeper questions within you, that's a way to do that. The other thing that you can do that's really simple is to find a mantra that really connects with you, that resonates with you. It could be like a one-line sentence. It could be something that just really brings you lots of joy. And so you can sit again in silence, or you can have some meditation music in the background and just repeat that mantra until you feel like you have achieved the joy that you're trying to achieve for the day. I will encourage you that when you do meditation, that you think about setting an intention. And so maybe at the end of your meditation, you take a pause, you've done your breathing, you're relaxed, and then think about setting an intention for the day. Like, what do you want the day to look like? What are you trying to achieve for the day? That intention has been so powerful for me personally, in just really driving, allowing me to meet my goals for the day. And then just to also really go back to that intention when I feel that there's a stressful moment coming on, that I go back to the intention that grounds me for the day. And so again, you can start out small. You can start off with a couple of minutes. You can start off with 5 minutes and then work your way up. If you're interested in joining groups, there are many groups available where you can actually go in to do meditation with a group. And so for anyone who's interested in yoga establishments also do meditation as well. It's a form of meditation. And so you can join a community that way. There's a lot of virtual communities as well. If you don't want to go anywhere, you can actually use a virtual means to start your meditation. Okay, so here's the reflection time. So this is an opportunity for you to reflect on the question that's on the screen. So take a few moments to answer this question. Okay. So I hope that you were able to take this time to really think about what your story would be if you did start meditation or reflection or sitting in silence. And so continue thinking about that as we move on to the next slide. All right, so we're going to talk about movement next. And so did you know that just 7 hours of activity per week decreases the risk of premature death by 40%? Just 7 hours. Even short bursts of less than 10 minutes a day can greatly increase your lifespan and daily quality of life. This is a topic I love to talk about. And when I talk about movement, I'm talking about physical activity. And so physical activity, as you see here on the slide, it means any type of movement. And so rather than using the word physical activity today, I'm using the word movement. Movement is anything that gets your heart rate up, that requires muscle expenditure, skeletal expenditure. And so I love talking about this topic. So we're going to move to the next slide. So I'm curious, how often do you include movement into your week? 3 to 5. Awesome. Great. So I too try to get in at least 5 days a week of some sort of movement. We all have our preferences of the type of movement that we'd like to participate in. Me personally, I love to run. I also like to strength training. And so, and biking, anything outdoors, I love to do. And so I think it's great that you're getting in 3 to 5 days a week. I think we all, most people understand the benefits of movement, and there's so much research out that talks about the benefit of movement. I have 3 slides that actually speak to the benefits of movement. And I think for me, if I was speaking in terms of what I love most about movement, is most of the things that are on this page. And I'm sure we all have our reasonings why we appreciate exercise or physical fitness. It does boost energy. It's great for your mental well-being. It strengthens your cardiovascular system. Believe it or not, it also helps your digestive system and your gut health. Increases muscles and cognition, and builds that confidence and feelings of empowerment. And so as I was preparing for this presentation, there's just so much research that keeps going back to the power of movement. And as we continue to age, we need to continue to include movement in our daily lives. And for all the reasons that I just shared with you. So here's the next reflection. So if you'll take a few minutes to answer these 2 questions. I think there's always opportunity for us to try new things. And so if you're satisfied with your current physical exercise, that's great. But if there's something that you would like to try that's new, I say go for it. Sometimes we kind of get bored in what we're doing. And so if there's something out there that you would like to try new, try that. I usually tell folks who are interested or trying to get back into some sort of routine movement, I encourage them to find something that they enjoy, that they're going to get excited about each and every day. I also encourage them to identify time in their day, in their week, for them to commit to that particular activity. And now if you don't have time, then I encourage you to do a time audit. So do a time audit to see how you're using your time. And you may find that there's time that you could actually commit to your physical activity. And then lastly, I encourage folks to find an accountability partner. Like, who is holding you accountable? Who do you need to hold you accountable, or to check in with you when on those days that you don't feel like going, or doing going for a walk, or doing yoga, or going to lift weights? Like, who can hold you accountable and help encourage you? Because I guarantee you, the moment you say, yes, I'm going to do it, even though I don't want to, you're going to be glad that you did. So we are coming to the final slide of our presentation. what I would like for you to do is to take a picture of this slide. We're not going to have enough time to answer all of these questions, but I really would like for you to take a look at everything that you've done or the questions that you've answered today, reflected on your own health and well-being as in regards to sleep, meditation, and movement, and then answer these final questions. I think they're pretty powerful questions. So if you're looking to shift things in your life, or if you're looking to raise your health and well-being or your happiness level, some of the things that we talked about today are ways to do that. And so take a picture. I will give you just maybe a minute or two to answer one or two of these questions, but I would like for you to try to answer these before the end of the week, and then share this with somebody, or to share your responses with someone, and then make a plan for the next week to do something new, to try something new that maybe you've learned today, or that may have sparked some energy within you today. And then after you've done it for a week, do it another week until it becomes a habit. And so maybe next time you can share with your friends something new that you've done, and maybe that will inspire them. The whole point of one of the reasons why I'm here, health and well-being is a ripple effect. So whatever you've learned today, please share it with someone, because that will create a ripple effect of health and well-being in a happier world. And so it's been my pleasure to be with you. I'm going to pause for a moment to let you answer at least the first question, and then we'll come back together.
Hey, April, it's Adam. I love these. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
I love these questions. I've got a question for you while folks are still contemplating some of these on the last one, if that's okay. Just about, I love the idea of an accountability partner. What does that look like, do you think? Is that somebody who I should find who is also engaged in this new habit or routine, or can it be someone like, a parent who just kind of checks in with you? Or would you recommend it be someone who's also doing this new recreation, if you will?
Yeah, very good question. I think it could be anyone that you trust that will keep you in line. And so someone, it could be a sibling, it could be a parent, it could be a best friend, it could be your partner, your living partner. And so it can be anyone that will be kind to you, but then also check in, that will listen to you, understand what you're trying to achieve, and we'll check in with you periodically and say, how's that going for you? Talk to me about that. Or when you say, hey, I don't feel like going to the gym, or I don't feel like doing yoga, or I don't feel like going for a walk, that they can motivate you and energize you and say just the right thing to inspire you to put your shoes on and to walk out the door, to walk around, to complete your walk. And so, I think it could be anyone that you feel comfortable with, someone who will inspire you and motivate you, and really just kind of keep you in line. And when you're like, no, I'm not going to do it, and they say, yes, you are, that you're okay with that. You're okay with them to kind of nudging you along the way. It's a very good question. Okay, so I know that we are at the end of our time together. I am so grateful for being with you today. I'm very excited for the self-discovery that you have been on in this short 30 minutes. And I will leave you with this last slide. And so if you closed your eyes for a minute, took a couple of deep breaths, and imagine that you are at the beach. You're hearing the waves crash. And then in the distance, you see someone walking towards you. And you're like, that person looks familiar, but I'm not quite certain who that is because the sun's beaming in your eyes. You need them to get a little closer. So as they get closer, you realize it's you, your future self. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is really cool. My future self is standing in front of me. They look happy and joyful, full of life. And you ask them the question, what did you do? What did you do different? What change did you make in your life to be where you are today? What was that journey like? So I really want you to take a moment to think about that, to think about what you would tell, what your future self would tell you as you are exploring expansion in your life, as you are exploring transformation in your life. What does that look like? Who is that future self 5 to 10 years down the road? And what would you tell yourself? So I'm going to leave you with that today, give you a little food for thought for the rest of the day. If you're interested in reaching out to me, this is my contact information. Again, it's been my pleasure to be a part of this experience with you and Adam and Mindful Journey. Thank you so much.